So we find a restaurant that said that they could take us by 4 p.m. This is leaving me with like 1 hour to eat. Okay, but we still gonna try. You know how your girl try to squeeze everything in. Okay, so for me, in my life, I'm gonna put my family time above like work and all of that. Because putting work first in the end is gonna deplete you. Because, well, for myself, I have worked my whole life and I do not feel like I have to show for working my whole life what I should have. Yo, baby, girl, I should be set up as hard as I have worked my life. And to get into what would be the future part of your life that you prepare for, and I'm not set up in any type of way like that, I'm still struggling. That leads me to, hey, what the heck was the point in all that extra grinding? You know, extra grinding is supposed to get you further down the road. But when you find out that extra grinding didn't do nothing but make your behind tired, you no longer want to do that. So I kind of got to this mode where I just want to do just enough work to pay whatever bills I have to. You know, we're going to pay bills until we die and after we die. And it's even getting to the point where we can't even afford to pay the bills that we have. So that is just going to leave you into a working freaking cycle. And what's the point in life if you have to just work all the time? You're literally not living. And I did have that conversation with somebody that came in my job yesterday. And we had a random conversation. Now, out in the real world, your girl is not somebody that just comes up and starts a conversation with you. I'm not like that. I'm an introvert. I'm not like that at all. So we randomly got into this conversation. A lady came into my restaurant and she was talking and she was like, oh, she loves it here. She didn't know that the place was here. And I was like, yeah, a lot of people overlook our place because, you know, it's kind of tucked away in the corner or whatever. And she was like, oh, yes, this is nice. And then she was telling me how she had just got off of work and she was doing a catering event. I believe she's a bartender, and for the bartender, she just finds events and bartend them. And she was like, she loves it. And she was talking about how she, previous to the shutdown in 2020, she was about to be burned out, like burnt out, boinked out. If you let my dad say it, he's from Mississippi, he'll say boink. She was boinked out. I remember he said one time, he said, who boinked the bacon? And when he said boink, like that made me chuckle so bad. So she was boinked out. Oh, I'm about to choke. And she was saying how she was working 65 hours to 80 hours a week. And she just was barely, you know. And though, yes, the money was better, she kept saying that she just didn't feel like she was alive at all. You're just, and it's where, that's what I talk about all the time. You're in survival mode. You're not really living your life. And when she said that when she just quit and just became like freelancing bartender, she little by little felt like she was waking up and getting more parts of her life. And she's almost 2 years later feeling like she's back to living. When is the last time that we have lived? Baby, I could tell you, for me, it's been a long time ago. The one thing that do make me feel like I am living and not just surviving are my walks. I love to walk, and it's literally gotten to the point where I got everybody in my neighborhood walking because they see me walk all the time. And every time I walk past someone, they're like, girl, I gotta get out there and join you. I even had a little family, they get out there and the girl skates, she roller skates, and they all say it's because they seen me walking and walking and walking, and it motivated them to do so. But that's one of the only times that I do feel like I'm alive. no matter how stressful my schedule may be, I make sure I get out and find some time to walk. Sometimes I take 2 and 3 walks a day. Like, your girl will just randomly go outside and walk. And that's when I feel like I'm living. But other than that, I feel like I'm just surviving. I hate boundaries over my life, and time constraints create a lot of boundaries. Like now, there's a boundary on my life. It is 12 and I got to be to work by 5, right? By the time I get to moving, time is just going to be like this. But because I still want to go to the Zora Neale Hurston Festival, because that's something I want to do, I have to squeeze it into that pocket of time. That time between now and that time between clocking into work. You know what I mean? You cannot create more time for yourself. I've been trying to do it, girl. Let me tell you, you can't do it. Can't create no more time. So what I end up doing is you have to take time from, if you want to do something different, you have to take time from something else. And for me, the most time consuming thing in my life is that freaking job. And she said it. She said it. I was so glad that somebody else got me. She said the only thing that is holding her back from completely loving the freelance bartending, and she knows that she's going to have to go back to working a regular job, is because, you guessed it, insurance, health insurance. You cannot afford health insurance if it's not being provided through your employer. And baby, that is where I'm stuck. That's where I'm stuck. That's why I'm stuck to this 9-to-5 rat freaking race after I have put myself through college to become a graphic designer, right? But freelancing as a graphic designer comes with no insurance. So I have to keep my 9-to-5, and I have to try, which it doesn't even work, to squeeze my graphic design around a 40 to 50 hour work week, which now I've fallen so far off of trying to be a creative and graphic designer to the point where I'm like so discouraged that it feels like I'm never going to have time to create. Like I'm never going to have time to create. I was born a creative, so it puts me into feeling like I'm not serving my purpose. Unless my purpose was to work in a freaking restaurant. Other than that, that's what puts me into that feeling like I'm just surviving. And by it taking so extremely long to get to a point where I can create, and I'm in this group, and everyone in the group is saying you have to create for the love of it, for the fun of it. Sure, yes, it is fun. I love to create. But the one part that gets overlooked is when you're creating and you're not making money from creating, you have to make your money some other way, which is going to make it where you're going to have to get a job. What does it take to create? The number one thing that it takes to create is time. Time is the number one thing that I need. That's the one ingredient I need to create. Time. Because I'm full of creativity. I'm full of it. I excel in so many creative ways. So if I had the time allotted to do these things, do you know the massive amount of content and creations I can have, I can come up with? But it's the lack of time, because the time is being put towards 9-to-5 rat race BS that never gets you ahead, Never moves you. It just allows you to survive. You barely make your bills. You barely paid your rent. You barely paid your car note. You barely have food to eat. You get through the week, you get to the next paycheck, you ain't got but maybe $10 if you got that from last paycheck. Okay, so the reason a creative desires to make their money off of their creation is so that they can get more time. Give up that 9 to 5 and you create yourself 40 hours a week of creating. That's the whole point. It's not about a creative wanting to be just, I want to be wealthy and I want that. Everybody wants to be wealthy. But baby, if I made what I made at that restaurant off of art, I would be happy. I'm not a money hungry person. I've never been a materialistic person. I really only wanted money to survive and to get my husband a goddamn lawyer. That was all I ever wanted. And the reason he needs the lawyer is because we just want our freaking family back together. That is it. I don't desire luxury cars. I don't desire a house. Most people are like, Keita, how do you not desire a house? Well, number one, I don't have a family to put in a house. You got to have a family to want a house. I don't want to live by myself, like a lonely old, 41 to whatever age woman. Like, I don't know. But this got completely off topic, but I completely understood what that lady was saying. And I was so happy to talk to somebody that completely understood me. During 2020, and she said that too, that she felt like she was going to burn out. If it didn't stop, she was going to crash and burn. And I was in the same point. In 2020, I was working full-time overnight in a laundry room. I was going to school. I was in college myself. I had a brand new college student that I'm trying to guide her through college herself. I was in an internship. It became to points where it wasn't even enough time for me to go home. Between internship, school, and work, I had to just sleep in the parking lot. And when it got cold, cold for Florida, like 50 degrees, I have bad circulation. So my hands would be all numb. My feet would go to bed. They'd be numb and stuff. So I couldn't sleep in my car anymore. That's the one thing that broke me out of sleeping in my car. But I'll run home and only have about an hour to sleep before it's time to get to internship. Then I'm in internship in the back of the... Luckily, he gave me my own little office because your girl was going to bed. I was like... and he'd be like, Keita, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Girl... Life should not be this way. They have strategically made life more harder where all we do is work. I don't remember my parents. I remember my parents working hard, but I also remember my parents working decent hours. I also remember my parents always being off on the weekend with us. I also remember my parents taking vacations every year, us going out of town, going to Chicago, going to Mississippi, going to Georgia. I remember all of that. I remember my mother getting off of work and cooking dinner, having time to cook a full, complete dinner. Where has all that time gone? Why have we gotten so... Why do employers... I remember when I first started working, there was a first shift, a second shift, and a third shift. And you chose what fit your schedule. Do you know jobs do not even go in shifts anymore? Jobs go in what they call flexible schedules, which means we're going to schedule you what the freak ever we need you for. You can open one day, you can close one day, you can be off random days, you can have one day off and then work 3 days and then have another day off. You could sporadically not even be able to plan your life because number one, first and foremost, you got to be at work. So what pocket of time can I fit this, and this that I want and need to do in? That's how work life has become. It's chaotic. For me, I don't have a good attention span, so it really screws me up. But I'm glad that somebody understands. So it means that I'm not just crazy. My feelings are valid. And I don't know. So anyways, I gotta go because I'm not gonna make it. Remember those time boundaries. I gotta work. Work is more important than what I feel and want to do for my birthday. So I'm gonna go. We're gonna see if we can check out this little Zorna Hersa Festival for a couple of hours or whatever. I think George Clinton is supposed to perform, but I'm not gonna be able to go to the concert or anything. We just want to walk out there, check out some artwork, and be gone. So I could hurry up, drop everybody off, and rush to freaking work like a bat out of jail. All right, guys. It's your girl Cadillac.